Hello, my name is Maher Malki, Dynamics NAV and Business Central Program Manager for Western Computer. Today I'll be discussing Lanham E-Ship and E-Receive for Dynamics NAV and Dynamics 365 Business Central. I'm going to create just a regular sales order. I'm going to put a couple items on there, and then I'll ship that sales order out. And I'll show you the process of it all, and then I'll show you how we create the bill of lading off of there, as well as export documents that are required. And then the reverse side of this is what we call E-Receive. And E-Receive is receiving the products from your vendors when you place a purchase order. And with that product, if it already has a barcode label, great, we can scan the items as they come in using that barcode label. If not, we can generate a barcode label for those respective items at the point of receipt. So I'll show you all of that, going in and going out. Okay, so I'm going to start off with just a standard sales order here. I'm just creating a new one, so bear with me. This is all standard stuff. So here, the Canon group. And I'm just going to throw an item on here for something simple. It's coming out of my Detroit location, and I'm going to ship, I don't know, let's say 5. Nice odd number. I'm going to go ahead and release my sales order. And now I have the sales order ready to go. Sales order is 229, and this is important for later. So sales order is done. Go ahead and go to what's called pack line scanning. And this what allows me to pack and create the boxes and the pallets. So what you'll see is I have just a blank input field here. This input field, because we're shipping, it's outbound, it's looking for 3 different numbers. It's looking for an outgoing sales order. It's looking for a transfer order number between your 2 locations, as well as it's looking for purchase return orders if you're sending anything back to your vendors. So everything can follow the same process. So in this case, I'm just going to hit the drop down. So you'll see here that it's giving me those 3 options. We're dealing with a sales order, but they all work exactly the same process. We're standardizing that process. So if I had the sales order number, if you have a piece of paper with the sales order number, I can input it here, or I could scan it with a barcode scanner if the barcode was on there. Being that this is a demo, I'm just going to pick that 229 sales order. It's right here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that sales order, and you'll see that the quantity so far is 0 out of 5. So I haven't packed anything yet. It knows there's 5 units on the order. Now here, you would just scan the barcode of the first item before you put it in the box. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to type that item number in because I know it. So when I do that, it's going to go ahead and it's going to say, hey, I see that you entered in this item. By the way, the next series of prompts that are going to come up are all optional. I chose to show the pop-ups just so that you guys can see what is possible. But we could suppress the quantity. So I have some clients that say, hey, I'm never shipping one of a particular item, and it's usually in the hundreds. I don't want my people scanning the same barcode 100 times. Well, I can come here and put 100 in and click OK, and now I've packed them all. But I'm going to leave it as 1 for now. So you'll see how many have already been packed as 9, how many I'm packing right now is 1. What we want to know is how many units are either going in a box or going in a pallet. So we're going to generate a label for that box or the pallet. That's the number that you want to put in. If the sales order says I'm sending 500 units and then I have 110, 120, 130 respectively in 3 boxes, I can enter in precisely what's in that 1 box. At the end of all this, when I pack all 3 boxes, for lack of a better term, it's going to say, okay, the first box has 120, second box has 130, so that's 250, and then 140, that's going to get me to 390. If that's all you ship out of the 500, we're only going to invoice that 390. Because the invoicing doesn't care how many boxes you have. The invoicing is really looking at how many units are in there. At the shipping level, we care about the boxes. So as you can see here, the order quantity packed is showing that is 1 of 5. And on this line that I'm packing, I've packed 1 of 5 as well. I have a unique package number. This is that unique box number. And the total number of boxes that I have is just 1 of 1 right now. The sales order defaulted to UPS ground, and then I'll show you how I could switch different carriers. But right now, just know that it's looking at UPS ground. Next unit comes in, my box is still open. I only put 1 unit in it thus far. My next unit, I'm scanning the barcode on it, and again, it's going ahead and entering that C100. It's asking me the quantity again. Remember, this is an optional message right here. I chose to turn it on to demonstrate it. There's what's called the cross-reference table that you guys can use. And what the cross-reference table does is it allows you to pack different units of measure. So, for example, I may have, let's think of soda. I could buy a can of soda, I could buy a 6-pack of soda, and I could buy a case of soda. So it's 1, 6, and 24. You can have 3 different unique barcodes for those. So that if you're packing 24, if you're packing a whole case, rather than scanning the same can 24 times, you scan the one barcode for 24 units, and it'll register as 24. So I've gone ahead and I've packed 2 out of the 5 items. Let's assume that the box is full. Now I want to pack another box. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to close the package. I'm literally closing a package. So I'm going to enter in the close package command. Now, this is a barcode that your packers will scan. We usually print these barcodes and leave them right by the pack station. So they know that, okay, when the box is full, I'm going to quote unquote close the package, and they would scan that closed package barcode. Here, I'm just typing it in because I don't have a barcode scanner, but I'm going to go ahead and say close package. And now it's asking me to enter some detail. It calculated the weights based on what I packed in there, but it's giving me the option if I want to override the weight. Remember, this is another optional window. In some cases, our customers don't have all of the weights entered for all their products. So you have the ability to either have something on a scale and override the 0 weight. Here, I cleaned up the data so it shows you what the weight is. So again, optional. I'm going to go ahead and just click OK. Another optional window. What this one is doing is saying, hey, do you want to enter in the dimensions of the box or the dimensions of whatever it is that you're shipping? So here I have 2 units in a box, let's say. If I know this particular box is 2 by 4 by 3, I can go ahead and enter that information in. So just to illustrate that, I'm just going to say, yep, override them. It's 2 by 4 by 3, for example. So again, optional. I'm going to go ahead and just click OK. Another optional window. What this one is doing is saying, hey, do you want to enter in the dimensions of the box or the dimensions of whatever it is that you're shipping? So here I have 2 units in a box, let's say. If I know this particular box is 2 by 4 by 3, I can go ahead and enter that information in. So just to illustrate that, I'm just going to say, yep, override them. It's 2 by 4 by 3, for example. Now it closed the package for me. That box is now sealed, and I know precisely what I have in that particular package. So later I'm going to come back and I'm going to show that to you. For now, I'm just going to keep scanning my next item. I have a new box next to me, and think supermarket checkout style. It comes over, I'm going to scan it. So it's going to be another C100 unit. And this time I'm going to pack all 3 units at once, just so that I'm not repetitive. So you'll see that the quantity packed is 5 out of 5, fully packed. This particular box has 3 units in it. But before I actually close this package, I want to show you some options of what things that we could do within this particular package. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan the command that says view the package details. And when I do that, it's going to give me a window. Again, this is an optional step, but this is where you would come to override things. You can override things like who the shipping agent and the service is. If you have a pro number, this is a good time to enter in that pro number from your truck carriers. We can change things like where it's being shipped to. We can change things where it's being shipped from. If there are any dimensional changes for the package that need to happen, we can do all of that here. Any export document generations that need to happen, and so on and so forth. So all details around a particular package can be overridden here in the event that there's a last minute change. But in this case, I'm not going to make any changes. I'm just going to click OK. And I'm going to do what I did before, which is the close package command. So again, it's asking me, do I want to override the weights? I'm going to say no. And do I want to override the dimensions? And I'll say sure. And I'm going to do a 4 by 4 by 4 this time, slightly larger. Okay. So now I've packed all 5 units into 2 separate boxes. And I'm pretty much done. So now I'm going to just close out of this order so I can move on to the next order. Again, it's another one of those barcode commands that is on the packing station that they can just scan right away. So the idea is they're not touching the keyboard. they're using the barcode reader to do all their work here. So we're going to go ahead and close the order. And now the system is in the background doing all its communications with whether it's UPS or FedEx and posting the shipment within NAV and doing all its components. So here you'll see we're posting the lines. And we're back at zeros, which means I'm ready to scan in the very next barcode. From a process standpoint, that's the process that they would follow. Now I'm going to pause here for a second, and I'm going to go to the sales order. I go all the way down. Here it is, a 229 sales order. And what you'll find is quantity shipped is 5, but I haven't invoiced anything yet. And it's quantity shipped 5 because I entered all 5 units. Now, because I'm using the UPS here, it communicated out to UPS, and based on the dimensions and the weight of the packages that I sent, it added the UPS shipping charge on here for me, right onto the sales order. So it's $32. So if you want the automaticness of UPS and FedEx, it'll provide that for you here. The other thing that I wanted to show you when it comes to this is if I go to my posted sales shipments, and I go all the way down to the bottom, this is what we just shipped right now. And it's showing that we shipped the C100 cable, we shipped 5 of them, and on the sales order, there's also that one UPS line that we talked about a minute ago. Over here on the right is really where I want to bring your attention. Over here on the right, what it's showing us in this fact box is that there are 2 packages. Remember, we did 2 boxes, and each package has its own respective pro number, or in this case, a tracking number. They can be the same. In this case, with UPS, they need to be different. Each box is its own entity, if you will. And then, of course, I can come in here and I can open any one of these and see this very first line, precisely what the contents of that line is. This is the line that I packed 2 units in. And so this is and so we know that second line has the 3 units in it. And this is really a bad example, because if I had packed 5 different things to ship, completely different widgets, and I packed 2 widgets in one box and 3 in the other, and a customer calls and says, hey, I never got widget number 2. Well, you can come here, look at the shipment, and see precisely what's packed inside each box. And you can tell the customer, hey, look at the labels of the boxes. You're looking for box number 2. That unit is in box number 2. You have that level of visibility. And then, of course, all the details around it. So all the details around this particular package, where it got shipped from, to, any export docs, the dimensions of the package. If you remember, this one we did 234. The other package we did dimensions 444. You'll see that here on the dimensions that it's 444, and so on and so forth. And this is the second box we packed 3 units into. Even breaks down the shipping cost and charge for you per box. So this second box that we created, we know exactly what the cost was and what we charged the customer. And you guys have the ability to control what your markup is for some of this stuff. So you could say, hey, if I get standard rates from UPS, I want to charge your customer an additional 5% above and beyond that. You'll have that control. Of course, one-click track, I can track this package with a single click. These are fake tracking numbers because it's a demo system. So if I was to track this tracking number right now, it could be invalid, but illustrate the point there. So the system automatically reached out to UPS in this case and got an available tracking number and automatically put it on the package for me when I generated the label. It was all automatic. The only time it wasn't automatic was when I showed you, hey, you could put the pro number into this field, because if that's how your truckers are keeping track of it, then you can go into that field that I showed you earlier. You can manually type in the pro number and it'll pass all the way down here to the actual package and stuff. So this now here is 2 packages. It's a single shipment with 2 packages here. Let's assume that these are large enough to be a pallet. Let's say you set all this to your customer. Now I have a pallet and I want to create a bill of lading. There's a number of ways we can create bill of ladings. I'm going to show you one here and I'll show you another way in a minute. I can come here to the posted sales shipment and just click on create bill of lading. I already have all my packages here. The whole shipment is going to a customer. I can just say create bill of lading. And then the question is, do I want a single bill of lading for the entire shipment or for each individual package? Usually 99.9% of the time, my customers are saying the whole shipment. And it's going ahead and creating a new bill of lading for me. Are you sure? Yes. Of course, I threw an error message. But that's one of the ways it creates the bill of lading. I'm going to show you another way in a minute. The other way you can create a bill of lading is if we go directly to the bill of ladings. So you'll see here I have a slew of bill of ladings that already exist. I'm going to just use one of these to illustrate the point of how we do these. So you can come here and click on New, obviously, and then you have what's called the bill of lading worksheet. If you come to the worksheet, what you can do is you can add different things to the bill of lading. I can add an entire sales order to the bill of lading or multiple sales orders. I can add the sales shipments or multiple sales shipments or down to the package level and multiple packages. So depending on how you manage all of your product, you might want to add by package to the bill of lading or shipment by shipment to a bill of lading. And then here you can add an entire bill of lading or multiple bill of ladings into another bill of lading. So you have lots of options in terms of how you get them in there. But if we were to stick to our shipment example, we'll come here and say add a shipment. Well, this bill of lading is already done. It's already been released. Let me find you better. Let me find you one that's not already completed. So back to the worksheet, and then you can come here and add, let's say, shipments to it. Now here's all the shipments going to that customer. So I can grab that last shipment that we just made and say, okay, and now it's going to bring that into the bill of lading here for me. Upon bringing all the components into your bill of lading, it finds you a good bill of lading to print this one. You'll see here all the packages on the right. Again, just like we saw before, all the packages. I can open each package within that bill of lading and see what's inside each one. This one has a desk in it. This box has a storage unit in it, and so on and so forth. You can then go ahead and print the bill of ladings. So here, I'm just going to preview it on the screen. And here you'll see it generated the bill of lading for me dynamically. It brings all the NMFC information, all the class details in here for me. Tells me how many cartons I have, 3 boxes that we were talking about, the customer information, and of course, all the bill of lading details. The other thing I want to talk about is the export docs. Again, we're still talking outbound shipments. The system is smart enough to look at where the destination of the product is going to generate the appropriate document. In some cases, you need to generate a pro forma invoice with a NAFTA document. In some cases, you need to generate a certificate of conformance with a pro forma invoice. The system knows and stays up to date with what the requirements are per country, and will generate those documents for you. So I'm going to just go ahead and print one of these for you, show you exactly how it's made. So here, you can pull in packages. So if I have those packages that we created earlier, I can come in here and say, hey, give me all the posted packages for this customer, and I can pull it in, or I can add documents directly from here. So I can add an entire sales order in here, or a transfer order if you had a warehouse in Mexico or what have you. But upon bringing them all in, you can go ahead and just click the Export Documents button. And this one is requiring 2. So you'll see here that this is that invoice that I talked about earlier. Based on where it's going, in Sweden, they require a pro forma invoice. And here, this is certificate of origin for the product. Again, Sweden requires certificate of origin. So it would print both these documents for you. Now, what I did here is I took all the manual steps to show you what is possible and what can be done. Just like when I was doing pack line scanning, I forced all the windows to pop up so you see all the options. But everything that I just did for you right here, between the bill of lading and the export documents, can be automatically generated when you're on that pack line scanning. It can all be done from here. So your shipper doesn't have to navigate through the system and doesn't have to keep track of, hey, what package did I just create? And I want to go put that in the bill of lading. And oh yeah, that same package, I have to go generate the export doc for it. It all comes out from here. I just took the manual steps so you guys can actually see what's happening in the background. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen anything. That's outbound. That's what we call E-Ship. It's any product that's leaving your organization going out. If you're shipping to a customer, transferring between locations, or returning to a vendor. So that's called receive line scanning. And guess what? The window looks exactly the same. I should create a purchase order for you first. Let me do that. So if I have a purchase order going to my Detroit location, and this time 9 items, I'm going to go ahead and release that purchase order, and it's purchase order number 170. So now when I go to receive line scanning, they can scan in that purchase order number, or they hit the drop down for receiving. Your warehouse receives many more things than they ship. They can receive a purchase order or a purchase invoice. They can receive a credit memo or a return from a customer, or a transfer order from another location. Here we're doing a PO, but as you guys can see, you have the option of doing all of them. 170 is the purchase order that I'm dealing with, and there's my 9 units. I could look up what the 9 units are by hitting the drop down, or I can just scan it in, C100. And now it's here, it's asking me how many units. Let's say I want to bring in 5 units. Now you'll see down here that I've received 5 units. I currently have this turned off, but I can print the item label directly from here when I do the receive. So if you have a label printer sitting next to the receive station, it'll automatically generate that label for you, and you can slap the labels right on the products. When you receive products from your vendors, if you order, let's say, 10 units of something, do you ever get more than 10 units? I recognize you can get less. Partial shipment's fine. But do you ever get more than what you order? I'm going to show you how we handle it now, because with the E-Receive product, it's going to take care of this for you automatically. Remember, we originally put 9 units on here, and we've received 5 out of 9. So I'm going to come back, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm scanning in that C100 again, and now I'm going to put another 5 units on it, so I'm going to over-receive by 1. When I go ahead and click OK, here it's validating. It's saying, hey, you're going to over-receive. The remaining quantity should be 4. You're receiving 5. That's an additional 1. Okay, no problem. I'm going to click OK. And now look, I received quantity 10 automatically. So I've over-received by 1. Remember, my original was 9. I received 10. And I'm going to go ahead now and close the receive. And I'm going to go ahead and close my order. Same exact process that I did. Over receive hasn't been verified. That's fine. Same exact process that I did on the shipment. So if you have warehouse workers that are shipping and receiving, they're really following the same kind of process. They don't have to do 2 different things. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to view the order. I want to open up the purchase order from here. And here is what you will see at the purchase order level. At the purchase order level, you'll see that the original quantity was 9, and there was an additional 1, and it added it as a separate line, as a separate row within the order. And what you'll see here is that there's a checkbox that says over-received. So it's telling you that we over-received by this quantity. So this is a way that you guys can run reports to look at that deviation between what did I order and what was actually received. How much was that deviation? Because when you update the original line, you lose visibility to the original order. Here, the net effect is the same. I have 10 units on the order. That's what I received. But it gives you a little more visibility as to what did I order versus what did I receive. So here, you'll see that there's a verification step. What that error message that you saw earlier was saying, hey, nobody verified that, that you're allowed to over-receive by this quantity. That's a setting that we control. So if you want to allow them to over-receive all day, every day, which sounds like you guys do because of just the nature of your product, you can turn that verification off. In some cases, our customers say, oh, I don't want a warehouse guy over-receiving without the purchaser actually validating that. So here, this is where the purchaser would come in and they would say, Oh yeah, I remember I ordered 9. It looks like they sent 10. That's okay, no problem. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to validate that. So the purchaser validated the fact that it's okay to over-receive by that amount. And then now here, the receiver can close the order and not get the error that, hey, it's not validated. The order is now closed and ready to be paid. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on the latest product releases and tips and tricks from Western Computer.